All right, thank you very much. You can hear me right? Yeah. Do you hear me? Good. Okay. Good. Hi, I'm Arnold. Glad to see so many people are there, even though it's super early in the morning. Some of us had a very short night, me included. So just one, two questions in advance. Please raise your hand. Who of you has infrastructure, operator, systems engineering background? Raise your hand. Okay, that's some of you. Yeah, okay, glad to see. Actually, yesterday I've attended, okay, one more question. Who wants to see a very cool, fancy demo today with a lot of useful recommendations and demos and so on? Raise your hand. Okay, nice. You are in the wrong talk. Actually, it was yesterday. Daniel gave a very nice talk about internal developer platforms. That was the practical part. I will talk about the boring part. So sorry for all the tech guys here. I will just talk about concepts. I can happily try to answer all of your questions in the Q&A sessions. If you have some short questions, maybe in between. But I will rather talk about the theoretical topics of building such platforms. And Daniel just used a quote yesterday from Gartner saying, in the future, all of us, or most of us, will work with platforms, cloud platforms and internal developer platforms. I would say that can be one of the worst decisions companies can make. So let's talk about building platforms. Just a few words about me. I'm doing platform engineering, building platforms for some time now, so I've got some interesting learnings and experience I was able to collect throughout many different companies. First, I was working as an external consultant. Now I'm internal colleague, employee at RTL. So I have technical background, and I will try to answer all technical questions if you have any. I do a lot of outdoor sports, and that's basically it. Is there anybody here that sails? Just a question. Any sailors here? No, it's a very cool thing and also a very new photo. If there's any sailor here, please reach out to me afterwards. That's a very nice hobby I can recommend. For those who don't know RTL, yes, we do television, and that's basically it. Actually, we do much more stuff, like not only broadcasting television and via the linear TV, but also a quite big online offering called RTL Plus. Lots of other brands. Some of, at least the German-speaking people here will probably know. We are working in the media branch, and not to bore you with too many facts here, but we are able to. We have lots of customers in Germany, and it's a quite known brand, which is great, which brings its advantages and disadvantages. We are about 4,000, 8,000 employees in Germany now, so it's a bit bigger company. And personally, I'm actually from RTL Data. RTL Data is a quite new department. It's just 3, 4 years old or so. So what we usually do, we work with data. Internal web UIs, for example, that helps people to make data-driven decisions. Just think of television. We sell ads, and we try to recommend good fitting slots in the TV program. There we need data to know who is watching what, to recommend, I don't know, shampoo ads or beer ads during soccer games or whatever. And these are internal reportings. We have lots of analysts and researchers there that make use of a lot of raw data, also your data, tracking data. So I'm working for the evil. We are collecting all the tracking data just to make assumptions and help people in our company to make such data-driven decisions, which in the past weren't that data-driven back in the old times. And these are internal customers. These are most of our customers actually, but also we have one components that are part of RTL Plus. So the search engine, for example, or the recommendation engine, these are some data products that also are developed within RTL Data. So, and this is the context, more or less. And the context that I'm going to talk about is not going to be about RTL only, so not everything I will share today is specific to RTL. That's just a small point of a disclaimer. Yeah, and that's basically it. Maybe let's just start with the actual topic of building platforms. So I said RTL Data is a quite new department. We do things with data. In the very beginning, there was a team. The team got the request, the order, please build a web UI, let's say web UI or data products. These are mainly based on raw data that you have somewhere that needs to be transferred into some format and then made user-friendly, available, reports, aggregated, and so on. And for that, you sometimes do software development. And there was the very first software development in that department. And I've just got one example here where we were coming from. That was more or less the origin of the software development at RTL Data. Let's imagine we have an application. I just have a bit of a simplified demo here, or not demo, overview of what to do to deploy an application into the cloud. You have a team that develops code, pushes to GitLab, somehow deploys it to somewhere, let's say GCP. We are on GCP mostly. Yeah, that's it. This is a very simplified demonstration of how we were working or how software has been deployed. So is there anything that surprises somebody here? What is special about this picture? First, it's very simplified, and two, there are not enough logos here. So of course we were using much more technologies here, like Terraform, Vault. We had to set up some, or this team actually, had to set up some monitoring stack, alerting, maybe some tools are that important that you really need to know that this stuff is still running. Of course, everybody works with Kubernetes nowadays, so you package it as a Docker container with an Helm chart, deploy it to Kubernetes, and yeah, also you need some data tools for the actual data processing, Apache Beam, Airflow, and so on. And yeah, this is basically it. This is a bit more, some more things are involved here. And this was more or less the tool set, the technical, the infrastructure tool set of one of the very first teams. So there wasn't just one team in the beginning, but maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's one thing I have hidden here. What do you think? Please raise your hand. What do you think about this picture here? What comes to your mind? I'm talking to infrastructure people. I hope you will get it. Redundancy. Okay, is it a good or a bad thing? Exactly. So, to use positive words, every team was able to pick the tools they really need to fulfill their requirements, to just work in a way they really wanted to work. This is a very positive description of this tool set here. But of course, you are right. Every team was starting to work with these tools. We had 3, 4 different implementations of Terraform code to deploy a Kubernetes cluster. And yeah, people were doing these things in a very redundant way. And I mean, that's totally okay. In the very beginning, there weren't that many infrastructure ops people and IT people, infrastructure system engineers, platform engineers. So this was the time when I was coming. I mean, there were some colleagues in this area here before, but when we were coming to this department, to this place here, the very first thing was we wanted to somehow remove this, drop this redundancy. And I mean, I'm going to talk about internal developer platforms. This is just a new fancy buzzword for old things everybody of us knows already. Call it platform, cloud platform, self-service offering, or whatever. But yeah, I'm using internal developer platform because it's super fancy and you get through the call for papers for many conferences and meetups. So that's actually just a clickbait for something that all of us already know, right? So this is mostly stuff that ops people are building for development teams, customer teams. product teams to set up baseline templates, to spin up environments in an automated way, so you don't have to repeat or re-implement all that technical stuff. And in the best case, you are able to enforce some standards, still giving the team some kind of autonomy. And sounds like a big challenging thing. I mean, yesterday we saw about some technical ways how to implement that, and I'm going to focus on exactly that. How do you build this platform, but less in technical way, but rather from the concepts. So let's start building such a platform. What do we need? What do you think? Raise your hand. What's the first thing you need if you want to deploy such a cloud platform? Architecture, yeah. Okay, that's maybe rather sounds like the last step, but yeah, there are good points. Runtime, let's call it cloud. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we were starting with GCP. Today we are on AWS and Azure as well. Multi-cloud, super cool thing. Everybody loves it. So we built such a platform. I said we are in the cloud, so we need some cloud accounts. That's the first part. We need Gitlab CI, CD, some baseline templates here, the basic infrastructure code, using Terraform, for example. Set up networking, permissions, and the application runtime, of course, because Kubernetes is important. Kubernetes, base images, maybe a secret store to put your secrets, because we don't want to put secrets into Git anymore, hopefully. Monitoring, alerting, maybe. And what else? Talking about data, backup and recovery, or at least recovery, who wants to pay for backups, actually. And that's basically it. Done, right? So these were the most important things to build such a platform. Well, things get interesting as soon as people start to use it. We were building such a platform. We were not calling it internal developer platform. We were calling it cloud platform or something like that. And we thought about implementing what our users, or the teams, the product teams, I often also call them customers, need. One of the very first things that came up, what do you think? What was the very first thing that customers asked you as soon as you brought them into your platform? If you build a platform and let your first customer do it, what was one of the very first things that people ask or complain, maybe? Yeah. Root access, of course. You built a self-service platform to take away all the boring and repeated work, and one of the very first things was, may I have some more admin privileges? So in the very beginning, we had big GCP projects. There were thousands of people. All of them had owner access. Everybody was able to delete the data with just one click. And even the GCP project, the shutdown button, it's just one click. Everybody was able to. What else? Yeah, some people maybe don't want to use the tooling that we offered to them. Maybe not Terraform, maybe something else. Some don't even want to use that tooling, but Web UI. Sometimes you have reorganizations. You have to somehow reorganize your platform. Sometimes you have documentation. Sometimes it's outdated. People ask for it. People are annoyed of your documentation, maybe. Sometimes the tooling is too expensive. You get interesting questions like, are we CO2 neutral? This is a very important thing nowadays, actually. You're going to work with the governance team, security team, working council, data privacy, and so on and so forth. And this is where things get interesting when customers actually start to use your tool in your product. And this is what I want to talk about. What happens after you build your platform? This is the actual part. And what I'm going to mostly, what my main phrase here or my main statement here is that actually, yesterday it was a good talk about the technology, how to build such a platform, but please before you start building such a platform, spend some more time to think about what you actually have to build for your customers. I mean, not in a technical part, but who are you building that platform for? This is the most important thing from my point of view. This was my personal learning. Yes, the technical part is important. I was working in some teams. We thought, I mean, I will say it in a bit more provocative way, but we thought we were building that platform more or less for ourselves, for the platform team. We did not have much contact to the customers. We were building that platform for a year or so. We were throwing it over the fence to the customers and had the problem that it didn't really match with the expectations of our development teams. I mean, nobody, I think, we had some contact, but not enough actually, and had some own thinking of how to build such a platform. What I can mostly recommend, spend some more time preparing the concepts of your platform. And again, it's not just about the technology. Actually, it's mostly about the thing that you, as a platform team, you have a lot of responsibility as a platform team, what you actually do this for. It's to help the company to make money. That's the point. And having this in mind sometimes leads to different technical decisions. I say technical decisions, yes, it's about technology here, but actually, if you are building a platform for a whole department where you have hundreds of users, things get interesting if you won't have just power users as your customers, as your users, but also other people that start to send to request certain features. You are going to work, in our case, with analysts or researchers, data scientists. These are colleagues who are not so familiar with Terraform. They don't really want, some of them don't want to write Terraform code. So you need to think about user-friendly tooling. Developer experience is also a very nice hot topic for just user-friendly tooling and tooling environments. And as you saw the quotes, these were real quotes I've put into the slides. There is a lot of different people that come to you with certain different requirements. Controlling, for example. I don't know whether, I don't really have an overview of how many companies actually care about their cloud costs and which team is producing which costs. There's also FinOps, which is a very nice hot new topic in that area. But we did from the very beginning, actually, we wanted to have cost separation between the teams. And this leads to, let's say, some technical, interesting challenges, actually, to be able to contribute the team costs to the actual teams and maybe also actually send the bills. It's a wide, big field, big range of topics that we're working on here. And well, as a platform team, some might know it, there are daily considerations, daily challenges that you have to face to keep things in balance, to keep interest in balance, like your own, like having the platform being stable, maintainable, scalable, automated, and so on. You want to do standardization, so you don't have to build every individual solutions for every single team. You want to have some standardization, which maybe cuts some interests of individual teams. And as a platform team, you're also kind of responsible for the infrastructure costs that you produce. If you are producing it, and this gives you some power, but also the responsibility to think about how to build infrastructure. On the other side, there's a team's goal. There are product teams who don't really want to think about, most don't really care about your platform at all, about automation and stuff like that. They want to work in a very innovative way, maybe. They don't want to write Jira tickets to get the cloud accounts from you, or Kubernetes clusters or something like that. They want to use new fancy tools that you probably never heard about that is offered by your cloud provider. And so on and so forth. And this makes making platforms interesting from my point of view. This is also one of the reasons why I don't work as an engineer anymore, but rather focus on how to build that platform and how to plan and organize that and keep in touch with all the customers. This is a very more challenging thing from my point of view, because, as I said, it's not only about the technical part. So let's just move on to the core principles that we hadn't from the very beginning, of course not. But these were some conclusions now after 3-4 years building this platform for our customers. And one of the first thing, treat your platform as a product. Yeah? It's not done until by just hitting Terraform apply, Helm install, or whatever. Of course, like any other software, it needs some further maintenance and development afterwards. We do actual product management with our platform. We even work in an agile way. Yes, that's possible, even with Scrum and Kanban, to be honest. And we do marketing. We try to collect feedback from the customers. We do user interviews. So user interviews sometimes look like you give your user some introduction and let your customer just use your tooling and you just watch what happens. And you see where your tooling is maybe not user-friendly enough. This is something that is, from my point of view, a very valuable thing, or there you get very valuable insights on how you could probably optimize your platform, your tooling to make it more user-friendly so that your customers can just do the thing they actually plan to do so. So treat your platform as a product. One more point, there was autonomy on that explanation of internal developer platforms. Actually on that site I've linked there, internaldeveloperplatform.org, there was this nice short explanation about this term, which I think fits quite well. But one thing there was to let the teams still work in a more or less autonomous way. And this makes things more challenging. I mean, you know that if you want to automate stuff, if you want to provide your base infrastructure, let's say the accounts, the networking, the permissions, maybe storage, maybe a Kubernetes cluster, database, whatever, mail servers, you don't want to give out too many privileges to your customers because that can harm your automation. We did one thing that was a very special decision. We gave out dedicated cloud accounts to all the teams. And not only one account, but we have 3 to actually 5 environments per team. So every team got 5 GCP projects. And this leads to a quite big number of GCP projects. I don't know whether you have seen the abstract. We run maybe 500, 600 GCP projects. Not all of them are in use, actually just maybe half of them. But maintaining hundreds of GCP projects, a bit more than 100 Kubernetes clusters. So far on GCP only. We are preparing AWS now, and Azure is also in the preparation. Maintaining that big load of GCP projects takes some effort and requires a lot of automation out there. But one thing that was, one very positive thing that was, one advantage that we had by giving teams dedicated cloud accounts, first of all, cost separation. So we were able to attribute costs to the individual teams. If you have big shared cloud accounts with big shared Kubernetes clusters, which sometimes could make sense, you cannot really attribute the costs or not easily attribute the cost to the teams if you have to charge teams actually. With dedicated accounts, I mean, it's an easy thing. It's just super simple. But one other thing was the ability to give out a lot of privileges to the customers because they had their own cloud accounts. Actually, our product teams have a lot of permissions in these GCP projects, AWS accounts, and so on, because they are completely alone. If they decide to shoot themselves into the foot, they can do so. The blast radius is super small. If they do any harm to the infrastructure, they just do it in their own scope. Yeah? Teams don't share cloud accounts with each other. Was a very positive thing for blast radius, for cost attribution, and some other things. But yeah, leads to some extra efforts. And one thing we were introducing was a so-called CMDB. Please raise your hand. Who knows that term already? Yeah, many. Anybody dares to give a short explanation what a CMDB is? Actually, yes, exactly. There are tools out there that help you to run such an inventory, to document your infrastructure. Of course, our solution was very modern. It was a bunch of YAML files. So this is the magic of this CMDB out there. We were starting to maintain, to describe the whole infrastructure in YAML files, GCP projects, account IDs, team names, AD groups, the definitions whether something should be deployed into this class, into this GCP projects like Kubernetes clusters, database servers, stuff that we also deploy for the customers into Kubernetes, which we usually don't do. Teams run their own stuff. You build it, you run it. But it was a very nice thing, and this is the baseline, the single source of truth for the whole infrastructure. I don't know much, bless you, don't know much companies that actually started to build something like that in the very beginning. I know some platform teams who don't really know who their customers are, who their contacts are from the teams, and that stuff. We had this from the very beginning, more or less from the very beginning, and it's the baseline for a whole tool set. We use it for Terraform. So I said we have a lot of GCP projects. That also means we have lots of Terraform repositories. I mean, 200, maybe 100, 200 Terraform repositories also. We don't touch these repositories manually. We have automation that synchronizes the code, the baseline code between all these repositories that takes care of networking and all that stuff. And we're using this central single source of truth as a base for everything, for Terraform, for monitoring, for cost reporting that we had to build ourselves, and even for other systems like our HashiCorp Vault. So we try to automate the whole onboarding process, and that is a very nice thing to have if you do so. And helps you to separate config from code. So CMDB is the config, more or less, where even product teams can put their requests in a central repository, like enabling database deployment also. They do this in a very central repository here, while the code that runs in Terraform repositories is out there synchronized, and actually teams usually have just one interface when it comes to base infrastructure deployment, at least. Yeah, there's just one thing. We are not able to make everybody happy. This is one of the first things that might be a bit surprising for some product teams or even teams that build platforms. You cannot fulfill all the wishes. This is super complex. We have a very highly opinionated stack. Yeah? So we offer some tooling that development teams or product teams can deploy code to somewhere. We even have full, pipelines, blueprints for pipelines to build container images, to test Python, test Java, to deploy to Kubernetes, cloud functions, so Lambda and stuff like that. We run Prometheus, Grafana, Mimir, and all that secret storage, everything. And that's it, actually. This is a basic tool stack. If product teams are not happy with that, if they need something specific, that's also okay. We give out these Terraform repositories to them, and they even have in their own Terraform repository with a bit less privileges in the pipeline, where they even just push code without, or merge requests without our approval, where they can fully work alone, because we separate them into dedicated cloud accounts, and because we want to, we tell them, please use this tool stack. If there are some people that, you remember the quotes maybe, sometimes there are reasons to have exceptions, and that's totally okay. Sometimes it's even necessary that you give out a lot of privileges out to your colleagues, to a team, because they have to work with software that just requires them to connect, I don't know, Google Analytics, for example, with GCP, with a GCP project in BigQuery. Google doesn't offer automation for that. It just doesn't, and the admin permissions need to be granted to the person that does the connect. So we can do it ourselves, and this is one of the exceptions where it's totally okay to move away from the standard. We tell people, please use please use our solutions, this paved road. Use the tunnel through this mountain. It will it will help you to get to your destination quite fast. If you decide that this is not your choice, if you want to go, I don't know, leave the road, take the way over the mountains. I mean, I also like to hike. It's a cool thing, but during work I prefer rather simple solutions. But there are teams that sometimes prefer that maybe longer way. It's okay. We want the teams to use them on a voluntary basis. We don't want to force them, and this requires getting into touch with your customers. And this is more or less actually it's the most challenging thing, to get to know, to understand how you have to build your tools so that teams want to use your platform and even recommend it to some other teams, for example. If you build something that limits your customers, your developers too much, they will find workarounds, for sure. It will be possible. Even in the big enterprise companies where you have governance, IT governance, governance teams even, and other stuff, and maybe a very strict permission concept, people will find their ways. And that's why we spend a lot of time for that product management. It's product management, actually. We have all the things that you might also have, like support boards, help desks. We have a bunch of Teams channels. This is also not a surprise, nothing new, but as a platform team, I want to highlight that you have the chance to connect, to build up some community between the teams and connect the teams with each other. In some bigger companies, it's might be not that common that teams communicate to each other. Sometimes this is rather an exception. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't exchange their technical solutions, how they develop stuff, how they do things, and how to solve technical problems. Because we have these customers on our platform, we have the chance to connect them and even build some internal communication and communities, which is a very nice thing from my point of view. I said we do product management. We also have a roadmap. We even plan in advance what we want to build for that platform. The platform is not finished yet. So now maybe some people said a few weeks ago they would consider this platform to be not finished but stable. So we don't have too many backing changes now. We still have a lot of changes that come up every day. There are so many changes that we even have a changelog for a platform. It's so much that even the platform team, our team, isn't capable to keep on track on which are all the things that we change on that platform. So we have roadmaps, we have changelogs, we write a lot of documentation. We have maybe much more documentation than the product teams themselves. We do product presentations, interviews, and all that stuff. So yeah, it might be boring for you as tech guys, but I would recommend before you start to hit the Hello World example, like this IDP builder that we saw yesterday, which was very nice. We also use a lot of technologies that were part of that builder. Think about who you're building your platform for. Treat your developers as customers. Treat your platform as a product. It is a product like anything else. If your product is not good enough, customers, developers will choose a different solution. They will maybe directly go to the cloud account team, get full root access to it, and will do their own stuff. If you do your job well as a platform team, people are happy to use it. So this is actually my main point. And yeah, that's basically it already. For those who think, okay, this is maybe sounds boring, what is the technical part? I would be open for any questions now. For those who want to even concentrate on some more technical discussions on that topic, of course we are hiring. So if you're interested, please reach out to me. We are looking for platform engineers, but for now, thank you for listening.